I'm Rachel with Adventurous Heart, and I'm starting my 5th section of the Buckeye Trail section hike. We're doing the Little Loop, so the northern section up by Lake Erie, the Cleveland area. So last time in section 4, I ended here at Orchard Hills Park in wonderful Geauga Park District. I'm leaving here and headed to Lake County. I'll be camping in Penitentiary Glen tonight. So a nice little overnight backpacking campsite. So I have a bigger pack with me today. So have the tent, sleeping bag, sleeping pad. Temperatures are supposed to get in the in the low 40s, high 30s tonight. So I'll teach you some ways to stay warm while we're out camping so that you can use that on your future trips wherever they may be. But I will be hiking this first 8 miles by myself. Phil's going to meet me at the campsite, and then tomorrow we will head up together towards Lake Erie. So follow me along as we continue to explore the Buckeye Trail. From Orchard Hills to Chapin Forest, it's been a bit of a road walk, but we are about to get to Chapin Forest in Lake County, and then we will be in the woods for most of the time exploring Chapin Forest. Welcome to Chapin Forest and Pine Lodge Ski Center. As I'm walking into Chapin Forest, it actually dawns on me that I think this is the first time I've been to Chapin Forest in Lake Metroparks, Lake County, when there wasn't snow on the ground. So Chapin Forest is well known as a cross-country ski area. It's groomed throughout the winter season. When we get enough snow, they have rentals. So if you're in the area in the winter, definitely come check out Pine Lodge Ski Center. Check it out, enjoy it, and show you a couple pictures of our time cross-country skiing here, but enjoy the fall colors as we walk through Chapin Forest this time. So I was walking down the trail and found this guy. Check it out. I've never seen a spider look like this. It's a one-of-a-kind spider. I've never seen it here before. It's orange. It has a big abdomen. It was right in front of me, and it is continuing to go up the tree. I can see the web. The camera doesn't seem to be able to focus because of all of the orange background. Oop, he just went swinging. There he's coming back. I just watched the spider from up high come down to the ground. It was above my head, and now it hit the ground. Oh, I scared it. Sorry. It's okay, buddy. It's amazing just to watch him go up and down on his web. Leaving the cool, awesome orange spider, the trail splits. Buckeye Trail continues right. There's some cool rock structures out here. Again, remember skiing here, and it's cool to see it in different seasons. While you're out, definitely check and go to parks in different seasons and appreciate what each season has to offer, especially in an area that has 4 seasons. Maybe it's wet, dry, maybe it's spring, summer, winter, fall, like it is here in Ohio. But go out and explore everything in your backyard. The best part about Chapin Forest is when you get here, there's a beautiful opening with an awesome view, especially with the fall foliage here. You can see East Lake, and yes, that is Lake Erie, where we hope to get to tomorrow, depending on how our lakes feel and what the weather does. But beautiful views, definitely come check it out. In the last video, I made a fun joke with the shape of a tree being the Y. So what shape is this one? I'm going with a C. And if you haven't heard a really corny fun joke, what's a pirate's favorite letter? Do, 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 do. I know you're all saying R. You think it'd be the R, but actually it's the C. Hoping to make it to Lake Erie, which is our C of Ohio, tomorrow. One of the cool things about being out here is being immersed in nature and seeing cool things like the awesome orange spider that I've never seen before, or this woodpecker that's just pecking away, obviously some distance, but you can hear him. And just enjoying the serenity of the woodpecker, the acorns flying, somewhat annoying plane, that must be Phil, haha. But just enjoying every piece of it out here.
On a previous Buckeye Trail section, we went over poison ivy. This is obviously classic poison ivy. It looks like one glove of your hand, your mitten, the other glove, and then the two gloves together. But the main thing I want to show you here is the color change. Not just trees change colors in the fall time, all of the plants do, including poison ivy. So if you see something that has the reddish color growing up the side of a tree on vines, probably going to be poison ivy. 3 leaves, don't touch it. I came upon another tree creature. What do you think this one looks like? This time it's not a letter. Surprise, surprise, it's an animal. Yeah, I just went to a place that had sloths. It reminds me of a sloth. The fall foliage and the wildlife around Chapin Forest has been beautiful as we are walking through it. We are about to leave Chapin Forest and cross the road. We'll be on the road for a short bit, and then we will enter Penitentiary Glen, where Phil and I will be spending the night. He's going to meet me there. I've made it to Penitentiary Glen, not too far from the campsite for tonight, so you can see a reservation map. We are here. Going to continue up the Buckeye Trail, the dash line, to the campsite for tonight, and then head out on the Buckeye Trail up to Lake Erie tomorrow. Here we go. I love this note along the trail. Important trail tip. FYI, if you didn't look at the map, you're going the wrong way. This is not a loop. Seems kind of funny, except I was walking and I thought the Buckeye Trail was straight. Saw this sign, read it, and said, oops, turn around, go the other way. And if you're wondering, the other side points you to the nature center, which is the direction that I need to go to get to our site. I inadvertently missed the small little arrow on the Buckeye Trail sign. So thank you, Lake Metroparks sign people, for having that little note. I would have figured it out when I didn't see the blue blazes, but this makes my life easier. That way it looks better. As you get into the core of Penitentiary Glen, you cross a cool little creek. You really get down in the ravine area, so you completely feel immersed. You can see the towering walls that create the edge of the stream, and you have to cross the stream, so there are nice little stepping stones for us to be able to take. And this time you can see I actually have little gaiters on, lightweight gaiters. These are actually the REI brand ones. I looked at a couple and these were nice, lightweight, and they have a Velcro to be able to pop on and off attached to your shoestring, and then the ability to be able to pull them tight and under your foot. I was getting really tired of going on these hikes, especially when I was wearing shorts and having little bits of gravel sneak down my shoe, and then I have to take my shoe off. So I decided to try these new gaiters, and so far so good. Obviously with pants, not quite as noticeable as they would be with shorts, but so far I'm digging them. I'll keep you updated on how much I like them as I continue. The Buckeye Trail continues on to the right towards the nature center, but I'm actually going to go to the left because that is where the backcountry campsite is here at Penitentiary Glen. Not marked, so you have to look at the map. As you make your way down the trail ends in a big gravel parking lot. So you can see here, they use it for part of taking care of the park. They have a variety of piles of gravel, as well as it looks like they're harvesting some of the lumber. But if you go to the far side, you'll see a little sign that has campsite parking. So that is where Phil is going to meet me tonight. He's going to park here. He had to work. Noticing a trend, maybe I get to go have fun. Phil vehicle has to work. That's what it sounds like, but it's not really how it is. He has just as much fun as I do, just at different times. So as we continue over here, we're gonna see a campsite parking. So it looks like just a spot or two. I think you have a max of 2 vehicles for the campsite. That's what it says on your permit. So campsite parking. And then if you drive here, best just to walk like I did, of course. But if you drive here, there is a locked gate. And when you get your campsite permit, they do give you the combination to open it. I won't tell you though. You have to come check it out, get your own permit. But we're gonna make our way back to the campsite. From the parking area, you're gonna continue down the trail, and it has good signage to be able to get there. But the signage really only starts from the parking lot, not from the Buckeye Trail. Just a short walk in from the parking lot is the campsite for the night. You do have to have a permit. They're easily booked online. It's $10 if you live in Lake County, $20 if you are outside of the county, but super simple. You can book it online. This is going to be our site for tonight. Big supply of wood for you, benches, fireplace, even a grill. So this will be a nice little place for us to set up camp for tonight. Once you've arrived at your campsite, the next thing you're going to do is determine where you're going to set up your tent. So to do that, you are going to think about the camping triangle. And that is that you are going to cook your food in one spot where it's going to create a smell where animals will be attracted to, store your food in a bear bag, bear canister in another spot, and then put your tent where you're sleeping in the third spot. Ideally, they should be about 100 feet, 100 yards. I know there's a difference, but you'll see it in different places. But let's, for sake of argument, go with at least 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, somewhere in there. 100 feet minimum is how far you want to be away from where you're cooking. This is clearly where you're going to be cooking. There's a picnic table, there's a grill. So backcountry, following that rule, you wouldn't necessarily put your tent right here. However, this is designed more of a front country site, so you can see there's a place that is matted down. This would be a perfectly acceptable place. There's also, if we wanted to follow the camp triangle, there is another spot just down here that is matted down as well. Clearly a place that is made for a tent. When you're looking at places that are made for tent, you're looking for something where there's no vegetation, you're not going to damage anything. The soil's already been knocked down, so I put my tent here versus stay over here or a patch of wildflowers or anything that could kill the plants. So this would be a great area. I'm probably going to put our tent further down there just to follow the guidelines. We're going to cook, probably have a fire here since it's available. But when you go to set your tent up, the next thing you're going to do is look above you, and you're looking for something called widowmakers. So basically dead trees, anything that could fall on you on the middle of the night. If they are dead, don't put your tent there. So this spot would be fine. The spot down there I looked at is a perfectly acceptable place as well. So a couple things to think about in making your campsite selection. So I'm gonna go set our tent up. The other thing to consider when you're setting up your tent is the elevation. This one's pretty flat, but it's probably hard to see, but it is coming off of a hill up there, and it still has a little bit of a slope. They definitely tried to make it flat, but the one down here is even flatter, so we're gonna go for that one tonight as well. Here's the other spot I was talking about. You can see, obviously, people have camped here before. The best campsites are found, not made. So you can see it's nice and flat, no hill anywhere around it. So we're gonna start here. And again, just as a reconfirmation, looking for widowmakers, anything that is dead, that if it started raining or got windy, you wanna make sure it's not going to fall on your tent. So setting up camp in the spot. Once you've chosen the place that you're going to set your tent, the next thing you want to do is to grab your foot or your tarp. It's basically the part that's going to separate your tent and thus you from the wet ground if it happens to rain or if the ground is already wet. So you want to put your foot down, and as you have this down, you want to lay on it and see if it's comfortable while you're laying down. So roll around, Make sure it feels good. Make sure there's no big bumps or anything. If you happen to find an acorn under it, there are lots of acorns out this time of year. So if you happen to find one that's in your shoulder, just move it away. Or if there's a big rock that you don't want stabbing you all night, you can grab some leaf litter that's around, especially this time of year, and put a bunch of it on to pad the rock so it makes it softer. So lots of options to make it more comfortable while you're out here enjoying the outdoors, despite whether you have a thick or a thin sleeping pad. When you're rolling around, you also want to give that look up again to make sure there are no widow makers, nothing that is going to fall on you in the middle of the night. Give a nice wiggle, make sure you're good. And then the last thing is to make sure you check out the elevation. Up there, I said there was a little bit of elevation. If there is elevation, you want to make sure that your head is uphill. You don't want all that blood rushing to your head as you sleep. You're going to wake up not feeling the best. So make sure you put your head uphill. Make sure there's nothing under here that is uncomfortable. Make sure it's nice flat, no widow makers, and then go ahead and set your tent up. With the tent set up on nice flat ground, your head uphill. You also want your head uphill because, let's face it, even if you like the person you're with, you don't want to be rolling into them all night or them into you. So now that it's all set up, you have the tent bag. So I recommend that you put all of your bags inside of the one bag and then put it at your feet inside the tent so that you always know where it is. The big thing is having a system while you're out backpacking. So when you're like packing your pack, we say have a CBS, conveniently balanced system. Everything in backpacking has a system. So my system is my sleeping bag is always in the bottom of my backpack. So I have a down sleeping bag. So I have that out in a waterproof bag. That way you can easily have it protected from the rain, the elements. I don't use a garbage bag. I tried that once. I'd rather have stuff in their individual bags. And then I also have an inflatable sleeping pad. So I will put both of those in the tent with the bags for all of these in my foot so they're easy to find in the morning. As I'm putting my sleeping pad in here, I just have the inflatable Thermarest Neo Air. I was thinking a cool fact for you is how do you determine how many people can fit in a tent? So this is a 2-person tent. That means you can take 2 sleeping pads and put them next to each other, and that equals 2-person tent. So it doesn't mean you have lots of room to spread out. It is literally the width of 2 sleeping pads. You can see mine is all the way against the wall, and you can imagine that same width is going to be on the other side. So when Phil's is in here, it's going to take up the whole tent. So 2-person tent equals the width of 2 sleeping pads. Next, I'm putting my sleeping bag out, and if you notice, mine happens to be a 15-degree bag. So I ask you, at what temperature would you not use this bag? You're thinking, duh, 15 degrees. Actually, however, I wouldn't use this bag in anything below maybe 25 to 30 degrees. So tonight, I think the low is around 40, so we should be just fine. But the temperature rating on here is not the temperature at which you'll be the most comfortable. It's the temperature at which you won't die. And I don't know about you, but I want to sleep in something a little more comfortable than not dying. So always go about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than what the actual low temperature is going to be. So I got my sleeping bag, sleeping pad. Phil's going to put his in here when he gets here, and we are all set for camp tonight. On a cold 43-degree night, this is one way to stay warm. However, in the backcountry, you don't always have the option to create a fire, and in fact, don't often need to because you can use a camp stove. So I'm going to share some ways that you can stay warm while you're out camping in the backcountry, other than creating a fire.
For the most part, we stayed nice and warm last night. It wasn't until just a couple hours before daybreak that my feet started to get cold. And so in addition to having a fire that worked out really well this time, if you happen to have the opportunity in the backcountry, I want to show you some other ways you can stay nice and warm and what I did to stay warm. One is when you are in camp, so you were hiking all day, you had your hiking clothes on, you should always pack at least 2 pairs of clothes so that you can hike in one, and then you can also wear one while you sleep, because when you're hiking, you start to sweat, you get moisture. That moisture is going to make you cold during the middle of the night. night. So have an extra set of clothes, so hiking clothes, and then what you're wearing while you're sleeping. The other way to stay warm is before you go to bed. If you're already feeling cold, you don't have anything to warm up yourself in a sleeping bag. The way the sleeping bag works, and we already talked about how the temperature rating works, but the way the sleeping bag works is that it has material, either down or a synthetic fill. This one happens to be down, and your body heats it up, and that heat is trapped inside the air pockets inside your sleeping bag, and that's what keeps you warm. So if you come to bed and you're already feeling cold, how are you supposed to warm up your sleeping bag? It's kind of difficult. So before I went into my tent last night, I jumped up and down. You can do jumping jacks, whatever you want, run around, but get your heart rate up a little bit so that you have heat coming off your body that's going to then warm up the inside of your sleeping bag and help keep you warm. Another way, we didn't happen to do this last night, but I'll show you how to do it, is if it's nice and cold out and you have a trustworthy water bottle that you can use, Nalgene is a good one that is always good, then you can go ahead and boil water, put it in the Nalgene, and go ahead and tuck it in the bottom of your sleeping bag, and oh, it feels really nice on your toes and it heats it up in addition to you running around. The other way to stay warm if you start to get cold in the middle of the night is to use your nice sleeping bag. So your sleeping bag is going to have a hood and a drawstring, and you are gonna look a little bit like a mummy. So you're gonna get situated in here, and of course wearing a hat to bed works really well. You're gonna be nice situated, zip it up, and then you're going to pull this nice and tight from the inside. And of course there's going to be a hole, and most people think they want that hole to go on the top of their head because they don't want to get their nose and their mouth very cold. They don't want to get their nose and their mouth outside because it feels cold when you breathe. However, when you're sleeping, you want it to look like this, because when you are breathing, you're releasing moisture. And we talked about with your clothes that moisture is going to make it wet inside, which is going to make you colder. Moisture makes you cold. So this is how you should sleep to stay nice and warm when it's really cold. Thankfully, it didn't get quite that cold last night, so we didn't have to do it. The last way to make sure you stay nice and warm, and people don't want to really have to do this, but if you drank a lot last night, and we're talking staying hydrated, drinking a lot, if you're doing that and you get up in the middle of the night and you really have to go to the bathroom, we've all done, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go pee, but it's dark out, I don't want to get out of my tent. If you're feeling cold, take up the courage, grab your headlamp, go out, use the restroom. Because when you are sleeping and your body has to go to the restroom, your body's focused on keeping what's inside you warm instead of your whole body warm, and you're gonna sleep a lot colder. So get up, go to the restroom, come back in, and you're going to sleep a lot warmer. So hopefully all of these tips will help you stay nice and warm on your next backpacking excursion. So I mentioned one way to stay warm was to make sure you go to the bathroom, and of course in the morning you always have to go to the bathroom, but the cool thing is you never know what you're going to find. I stood up, and don't worry, it's not real, but you can see that a snake came through, and I saw this really cool snake skin. So this one is actually in really good condition. As you come, you can actually see where its head was. It kind of gave me the chills. I do not like snakes. But you can see exactly where it shed it from its eyes, its back. Oh, I really don't like snakes. I like every other animal except snakes, sorry. But it's really, really cool to be able to see this. So make sure you always keep your eyes, ears out. You'll see that cool, there you go. You see cool things while you're out here, just like the orange spider that I saw yesterday when I was walking through. I learned it is a Halloween spider actually, which is fitting because it's the fall and Halloween is about a week away. It's also called a marbled orb weaver. So always take it and the opportunity to look at really cool things. I'm just really impressed at this. You don't usually get snake skins, or at least I haven't seen them, where you can see where the actual eyeball is, the actual mouth is. Very impressive.
Leaving the campsite, you quickly come to the Penitentiary Glen Nature Center and Wildlife Center. So make sure you take the time, go off the Buckeye Trail just a hair bit to check out the Nature Center and the Wildlife Center. The Wildlife Center focuses on taking care of injured, orphaned wildlife. So if you find them in your backyard, they're injured, you can bring them here, but you should, of course, tried to let them, if they are orphaned, hopefully a mother will come back, but if you know they're orphaned, you can bring them here. Definitely check out their website, give them a call for further information. There's also a cool train exhibit that they have here, so check out all the cool things at Penitentiary Glen. Leaving the nature play area, wildlife area, and nature center at Penitentiary Glen, we are going to be hitting the road. Most of today's hike towards Lake Erie is going to be on the road. So leaving the natural space, but still exploring cool things. Phil, of course, has his eye to the sky. He's checking out a plane flying overhead.
Certainly.
It is a road section that will be on most of the day, but it is a beautiful one, especially with the fall foliage. We have a cool stream crossing. Phil's checking it out. So just a really beautiful fall hike on the Buckeye Trail today. We're leaving Kirtland and we came to our first trail town. As we enter into Mentor, you get a nice sidewalk, so you're off the road a little bit, more of a city feel.
Squirrel.
Always be on the lookout for really cool things. Looks like he has a nut in his mouth, I think. Hi, buddy. It's okay. Enjoy your snack. So cute. We made it to the city of Mentor, and we are now on the Mentor bike trail as we're walking through. But I'm starting to notice something. If you notice, I have a rain jacket on again. This is the second time during the series that we've stayed overnight somewhere, and second day, it's raining. So we're probably gonna finish out the day. The forecast looks like we're gonna have a lot of rain coming our way. So we're gonna try to get up to Lake Erie, and then we'll probably call it quits for today, but you don't always get sunshine in your life, so just embrace it, enjoy the rain, and have fun.
And how do you say it? There's no inclement weather.
It's only about how you dress, so be prepared, carry the layers that you need, a nice wicking warmth weather layer, and you'll be all set for some fun adventures. So come along and let's finish to Lake Erie.
We've almost made it to Lake Erie. We are entering Mentor Lagoons. We'll come to the marina here shortly. We're getting close from walking from our house all the way to Lake Erie.
We're here in Mentor Lagoons. So we have walked just over 80 miles from our house, and right in front of me is Lake Erie. If you would have asked me before if I thought I could walk from my house in Medina up to Lake Erie, I would have thought you meant Cleveland. No, we decided to go all the way to Mentor. And here is Lake Erie. It is super cool to say that we've been able to walk from our house all the way to beautiful Lake Erie. And it's a cool, kind of misty, rainy day out. There's actually someone out there boating, which is really cool. A little bit of wave action. We're definitely gonna have to go down these steps and touch the water though. Kind of really exciting, actually, more than I thought I would be to be able to say we walked from our house to Lake Erie. So on the Buckeye Trail, doing the little loop, the sections will continue. So let's go touch Lake Erie. Mentor either, so it makes it even cooler. But you can see a gull floating out there. You can see someone on their boat. It looks like they're probably fishing, but just really cool place. If you have a chance, go check out your backyard, or come if you live in Northeast Ohio and check out Mentor Lagoons. We'll walk a couple more miles today, and then we'll end our hike for today. So section 5, we finally made it to Lake Erie. Super, super cool, super excited. Let's touch that lake again.
as we're walking around, loving Lake Erie. Phil's looking for sea glass. You find any? Oh wow, check that out. That's a good find.
It's like maybe a Pepsi bottle or some old Pepsi bottle or something.
Yeah. So obviously old trash that has been tumbled and turned into something that looks pretty cool.
It's the biggest one yet.
So does it mean you should throw your trash into the waterways? Nice. As we're looking for sea glass, we saw this beautiful monarch butterfly, and they actually populate the Lake Erie shorelines for a couple months out of the year as they make their migration from Canada down south. So it's super cool to be able to see. The wonderful thing about Lake Erie and nature is that you never know what you're going to get. I don't know if you can see it, but there's all kinds of insects flying around. I think they're the famous Lake Erie midges that come out a couple times a year and really flood the area. You can see I have one. It landed on my hand. So super cool. Always check out different areas. But we are going to go ahead and continue our hike along the trail. We'll pop out at a road and end at a little parking lot where I'll start next time. Battery's getting low, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. We have just a couple miles to go, but super fun. Thank you for coming along on our Buckeye Trail hike journey as we're section hiking the Northern Loop. I'm Rachel with Adventurous Heart, and we're going to continue to explore areas that are just in our backyard, and I encourage you to continue to explore all kinds of cool areas in your backyard as well, and tell us about them down below. Let's continue to explore the micro adventures right next to us anywhere you live.